Hey, it's your girl Paige, and you know I've got the good book tea. Do you ever wish Game of Thrones had more romance and less, unexpected beheadings? Well, grab your goblet of wine because Heirs and Spares Betwixt the Sheet edition by Jenny L. Spohr is serving up courtly drama, royal power plays, and enough spice to make a Tudor blush. I'll let you choose which Tudor. It's 1569, and Lady Annalore wants nothing to do with royal politics until the exiled prince turned king decides that she's the key to saving his kingdom and his heart. I mean, who could have expected that? Expect scheming nobles, forbidden desire, and a reluctant queen who won't just roll over unless she wants to. Perfect for history lovers who like their romance with high stakes, sharp banter, and just the right amount of scandalous. And if you prefer your historical romance with a little less heat between the sheets, there's a closed bed curtains version just for you. So, get your hands on Heirs and Spares Betwixt the Sheets edition out now, because royal duty has never been this delicious. Love ya!
Better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. I'll have what she's having.
We have 20 hours. Do you think that's enough to get through this movie?
I think we'll find a way to manage, yeah.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
And I'm Todd Schlosser, and this week I made you watch the movie only 2012 and probably an early crypto investor could have written.
2012?
And that is Lockout. Yeah, when did you think this movie happened, Paige?
2001. Oh my God. 2012 is offensive. Offensive for how bad this movie is and how bad it looks. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Paige, I can't wait to talk to you about the budget, which we'll do at the end like we always do, because it sounds low budget, but for what we're looking at, it will shock you.
I'm sure. Well, and here's why I thought this was earlier, because it's Luc Besson worked on this.
Yeah.
And I love Fifth Element.
Yes.
And Fifth Element looks way incredible compared to this. And I was like, this must have been the movie before Fifth Element that helped him get the money to make Fifth Element. And you're telling me this is after.
Yeah, so this movie came way after the Fifth Element. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, no.
Which is one of my, I love Fifth Element so much.
I love Fifth Element.
Yeah, like that movie is insane and fun.
It's my favorite Chris Tucker role.
Same. Bzz, Paige. And that's even after I saw Money Talks first, and this is my favorite Chris Tucker role. But that movie came out, I just looked it up, because I thought it was mid-90s. It was actually 1997, which is, I guess, late mid-90s.
Oh, but still. Oh,
so
my
that's
God.
fully like 20 years. No, I guess 15 years before this.
Oh, my God. Todd, I'd like to read you the series of texts I sent you between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. this morning.
Please do, Paige, because I woke up and sort of laughed to myself.
2:25 a.m. This movie is like a first draft of a fever dream. Is this The Rock in space? And then I got an hour into this movie and could no longer understand what was going on and was very sleepy. So I turned it off, and then I got back up this morning and watched the last half an hour.
Wait, Paige, can I read the text of you after you finished the movie, I'm assuming?
Yes.
This movie made me actively stupider. Which, like, is phrased perfectly. Like, I love it. I also couldn't think, you couldn't be more dead wrong, in my opinion. This movie is, Paige, truly amazing. Like, it is, I don't know, like, every once in a while, like, a film comes along that, like, fully just transcends a genre. You know what I'm saying? Like A film that says, why not put like Romeo and Juliet in orbit, but like Juliet is the president's daughter and like he is like a rake who is like a disgraced government employee or whatever. It's Die Hard in space on a Shakespearean level, Paige. It's amazing.
It's The Rock in space.
It could be both. Yes, it's a prison break in space.
And how dare it when we already have The Rock, which is the perfect action movie.
But Paige, is The Rock in space?
No, but it's got Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage and an emotional core for its complicated relationship with the carceral system.
All I'm saying is this movie is as good as any Shakespeare play. That's all I'm saying.
Lies. Here's my favorite part. You and Mikey both had seen this movie, and I assume had not watched it in years, because you were both like, it was actually pretty good. It holds up. And then I was watching this movie, and I was like, were we talking about the same movie? This movie makes no sense. This movie starts B and C plots and then doesn't address them for an hour and 20 minutes, and then Kaiser Soze's them at the end of the movie.
It's perfect, Paige.
There's so much wrong with this movie.
Paige, I love it. Like, you will say, perhaps Mikey and I hadn't seen this before. Mikey's not here to defend himself, but let me go on the record as saying, this is a great ass movie. I really did like this movie. Like, okay, if you love Die Hard, you'll like this movie. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
Die Hard is a vibe of a movie.
Yes.
This movie's on a good version of that. So if you love Die Hard, you'll like this, right? It's like one of those ACT questions.
Yeah.
But is it as good as Die Hard?
No.
Yes. Does it take place in space? Yes.
Does Peter Stormare have a wild American accent that changes scene to scene? Yes. Does this movie forget that a man has a milky eye? Yes.
I mean, the only difference between like this and Die Hard is space, and the Carl Winslow character turns out to be the big bad at the end, right?
I mean, kind of.
Everything else is the same.
That's why it felt more like The Rock. But here's my problem. I mean, many. Let me just lay them out one by one. Good fucking Lord.
Lay them out, baby. Let's lay them out. While you do, I'm going to write a sonnet about how good this movie is. Because it's like Shakespeare.
Okay. So initially, when the movie started and I started to hear some of the like world building of the like supermax out in space where people are in stasis, I was like, oh, okay, like this is interesting. But this is when I was like, I think this is The Rock in space. And then Guy Pearce has this whole thing of like, I didn't do it, I'm being framed. And I'm like, framed by who? Framed for what? Because the guy that gets killed in the opening scene is, spoiler, like the head of NASA. And I was just like, I feel like people are going to notice that. That seems like a big thing.
Not only is he the head of NASA, Paige, he also put himself on a super secret underground mission to recover secrets. Like, it is perfect. I don't know why you have any notes for this bonkers, like, Die Hard as a Mikey movie.
Look, here, my biggest note is that they didn't credit cocaine with a story credit. And so, but then he's like, is he going to space? Is he not? And then the president's daughter's in space. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm looking at the time on the movie and I'm like, this movie's only 90 minutes long. And like, we have not answered any questions.
Paige, technically it's 95 minutes. And if you don't give him the last 5 minutes, it doesn't tie up the B and C plots, which it ties up in a montage.
It's the most insane montage I've ever seen.
It's so good. It's so good.
That, like, we will talk about it when we get there.
Of course.
But that is the creation of a madman. Like, I don't know who gave somebody money to do that. I don't know. Anyway, but like, we don't get any further world building on the Supermax at all. They give you like an initial and you're like, oh, that's interesting. It does not go any further.
Well, they blow it up. Like, you know, it doesn't matter. They blow it up. It's fine.
As the movie goes, it gives you nothing. There's no emotional connection between them. They have an argument at one point in the movie about things that have not happened on the screen and things no one has demonstrated. And I was like, how are you yelling about this? Like, what is happening?
I do think that they cut a bunch out of the movie, and
they must have.
I'll tell you why now. And there's a few scenes like this, but a good example of this is when they do the biggest space jump I've ever seen and jump from a space station down to the interstate in LA, I guess.
Yes.
And like they land and like the police and like EMS show up, like the ambulance shows up. They're both on the ground.
Yeah.
Both of them are on the ground looking at each other sort of longingly as he's getting arrested.
Yeah.
And then someone is pushing a roller gurney that like ambulances uses with a body in a body bag.
Oh.
So like, whose body's in that
Whose
body bag?
bodies is that?
Did they just fall into like a bad car accident scene? Like what has happened? So they clearly cut something out. Like they cut some stuff out.
In my mind, the debris hit cars, but it still didn't explain what. It still didn't explain why they're arresting Guy Pearce.
So like as they're coming down, oh my God, Paige, as they come down, they like murder people just driving home on the interstate. Love it.
Can I read you a fun fact? Because I had this same thought as I was watching this movie, and in pulling up fun facts, I found this and I'm like, yes, thank you. In October of 2015, John Carpenter of Halloween, The Thing, Halloween Season of the Witch fame won a plagiarism case.
What?
Against Luc Besson.
Hang on.
Over this movie, proving clear similarities to Escape from New York and Escape from LA, which the entire time I was watching this, I was like, is it, like, there's pieces of this that are completely lifted from Escape from New York and Escape from LA, but also, like, they lift powerlifting suits from Alien, they lift stuff from other movies, whatever. But a French court ruled that enough similar distinctive elements from both of those films were borrowed to merit a sanction. So he won that damn case, because in Escape from New York, I believe he is rescuing the president's daughter in a very similar scenario where New York is a supermax and they put like a chip in his head, so he's like gotta go rescue her or whatever. And that it literally is this movie just on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but like they're in space, Paige.
And better.
So it's better.
No. Kurt Russell with an eye patch, motherfucker. Kurt Russell.
His name is Snake Plissken in that movie. You're right.
80s Kurt Russell in tight pants and a fucking eye patch. Guy Pearce could never.
No, he's got depth perception. So,
anyway, I was baffled by story choices, world building.
I'll say this. I thought it was great to see like a recently fired government official, like secretly going undercover and getting revenge on the people, like the bad actors in government.
Right.
Loved it. I'm just saying a lot of park rangers out there should be watching this movie.
Oh, there you go. That's what's up.
Is all I'm saying. It is the warning from the past that we are not listening to currently.
Hey, NASA, you're probably next. SpaceX is going to take your shit. And when that happens, do a lockout.
Do a lockout. Guys, honestly, if NASA did this kind of shit, I'd be into it. Honestly, if SpaceX did this kind of shit, I'd be like, yeah, take over NASA. That's fine.
No.
I mean, but they don't. They don't do this. But like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is an insane movie. I don't think we get enough of it because there's only one of them. Like, we should have, there is an MS1, right? It's like I don't know what the MS stand for, actually. What?
Maximum Security 1. It's the first Supermax in space.
Okay. So does that mean that there could be like a bunch of them?
I think so.
And maybe Guy Pearce becomes the guy who like did a job no one wanted. So now whenever someone has to have that job done, they only call Guy Pearce. And like, he hates it. So like he has to, I would love
Todd,
12 more of these until we get to MS-13, Paige. Think about it.
Todd,
yeah?
First of all, MS-13, they got good ground game. They're never going to be in space. Secondly, what you're asking for are Escape from New York and Escape from LA, because that is what happened.
So what you're saying is we could easily make Lockout 2 and 3 because those movies also exist, and we could, I guess, technically lose a lawsuit.
You could plagiarize them
if we made those. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not into it.
Here's what I will say. This is my headcanon for this movie, is that MS1 is the first time they've tried this, and the first time they have tried the stasis protocol. And there are questions about it, much like in Severance, where there's questions about Lumen's severance procedure of like, hey, is this ethical? And we've done this once in this area, but should we be doing it at all? Is this ethical?
Right.
And I think that's why the president's daughter is going there. So I think...
Well, that's why she wants to go there. It's
right.
technically like a humanitarian mission to like...
Right,
It's
right.
like a PR mission, honestly. It's a PR campaign.
Right.
But she is a good person and like...
Right.
You know, unlike other blonde-haired daughters of presidents, she actually cares about people, even those that are in like the lower classes and even in prison. She cares about their rights, which was like nice to see a blonde-haired daughter of a president to have that stance, Paige.
Look, I think Tiffany has a lot of thoughts. He just doesn't listen to them. Anyway.
And that's why she's not invited to the oligarchy, Paige.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons, and none of them are her fault.
No.
But anyway, so that's where I thought. So if I were to write a sequel to this movie, which I wouldn't because the world building is not established enough to hold up to sequels.
I agree. I do think this movie needed more runtime.
No.
And I think it could have been better had they taken longer to build the world that we live in. Because I'm not joking, man. I really love Guy Pearce as a like John McClane. Like he is doing a John McClane impression. And I think he nails it in like it's a different kind of charming, because I would also say Bruce Willis in Die Hard is charming.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different kind of charming, so it's not exactly the same as a John McClane, but it's like a good version of it. I like it.
No, I feel like it comes off as soulless, but in part because we don't know enough about him. We don't know really who he is, and so we have to take it at face value, where like if you look at John McClane, it's like, okay, we know him and his wife are estranged, but he's still going in there to get her.
Oh, yeah. We know they have issues. He's probably got some issues he needs to fix, but he is like making a grand gesture to go save his marriage.
Yes.
So that tells you a lot about the character.
Right.
We don't get any of that because Guy Pearce is he's just Archer from this TV show Archer.
Yes.
And I think that's why I like it, because this is Guy Pearce as Archer in space, saving that girl from Lost.
But Archer takes it to an 11.
Yes.
And again, Snake Plissken takes it to an 11. So either we need a lot more and a lot cockier and a lot more of a heel, or we need more emotional core, because otherwise he's just in the middle. And as the Lord saith, if you're lukewarm, I spit you out of my mouth. However, I don't think we need more runtime here. I think we need to use our runtime better, because I do think at 95 minutes, that's like the place. I think you can cut so much of them just running around this fucking ship or space station that is not useful and is not interesting to watch, or them stuck in various rooms that have locked doors.
Yeah, I mean, Paige, they just took a script that was like, the president's daughter gets kidnapped at the Rock, and they were like, all right, well, it's like, this script is from the 80s, so maybe we update it and put it in space or whatever. Like, that's, because it's very much just like locked rooms, and then they jump down from space.
Right.
Literally jump down from space. It's amazing. Paige, they become shooting star-crossed lovers. It is Shakespearean, Paige.
If we compare this to The Rock, where if you'll remember, winners fuck the prom queen.
You don't think they had sex for at least 10 minutes at the end of this movie?
I wish they'd showed us any chemistry, because then I'd believe it.
We don't even get a kiss. We just get traded punches.
We don't even get a kiss. I liked the punch.
Me too. I liked it.
I wish you would have punched and then kissed.
But his mouth was all bloody. Like, I wouldn't do that.
Good, hot. But like,
gross.
In The Rock, what we have and what they definitely set up in this movie but never pay off.
I agree. Nick Cage and Sean Connery should have kissed in The Rock. I get it.
100%.
I hardcore agree.
Absolutely. He's James Bond. But like...
Sorry, I just got a flash of Nick Cage as James Bond. I'm so sorry. I couldn't help it.
No, in The Rock, the prisoners, or rather the ex armed forces that have taken over Alcatraz.
Yeah.
They have a whole story of like our medical benefits are being denied, like all of this stuff that is like grounded in a humanity that makes you care about them and about their story. We have in this movie two brothers, one whom we should have shot in the first fucking scene to give the main brother revenge anger or something, because it's just awful to watch that other guy on screen for the whole time. But we have, and he seems to have this like, hey, as prisoners, we should take this over. We have no emotional core for why that's happening.
Right.
We don't even have a story point for why that's happening until we find out that they're experimenting on prisoners. But what we needed was for them to be like, they're experimenting on us. This is not fair. We're fighting for freedom. And we get none of that.
Yeah. And you wouldn't have. And I'll tell you why. And it's gross. You're going to hate this. But it's because they don't know they're being experimented on.
Right.
Because they've been knocked out. They're asleep, quote unquote. Yeah, it's gross.
It's a key flaw in the story. And so like,
I agree. Yeah, because it doesn't make them at all sympathetic or like,
Right.
not even sympathetic, but it doesn't even like, you can't think of them as like full characters.
Yes.
Because you don't have any idea what their motivation is outside of just like, we have to kill everybody, which is like, that's not a good motivation for anything.
let me pitch you a fix for this.
Pitch a fix.
Right? Because that is a problem. They sentenced Guy Pearce to 30 years, but ostensibly other people have shorter sentences. And we know that one guy, the wild card with the milky eye that disappears through multiple points in this movie and they just fully forget that guy has a fucked up eye. He has been in and out a couple times. And they bring him out to talk to her. And I think they brought him specifically to scare her, to be like,
Yes.
these are the kind of people that are in here, right?
Yeah, because he is crazy as shit. Yeah.
Right. So what I needed was for his brother to be like, he didn't used to be like this. Like, coming in here, he came out different. And I didn't kill anybody. I'm here to try and get him out because I know that they're also putting innocent people here and they're going to come out different.
Yeah.
Which honestly is a reality of the prison system in general. And this could be a fucking great movie about the privatization of prisons and what it fucking does to people and how incarceration destroys families and fucks up people's lives forever. And no, like,
Nope.
not even a little bit.
None of that.
None of it.
Yeah.
They give them nothing. They're just like, they're monsters with guns. They literally treat people in this story that could have sympathetic, interesting arcs as just bullet sponges. It's gross.
Yeah.
It is bonkers. And I would normally think that I was like, oh, it's fascists made this or whatever. I don't think it's that. I think they're just so woefully incompetent they didn't even understand that that's what they were doing, because so many other pieces of the movie are also not fleshed out. Like I said, this feels like a first draft of a fever dream.
It's great. Yeah.
Oh, man. Do we want to just go through a scene by scene? Otherwise, I'm going to scream for so long.
Paige, we probably should. Would you like me to recite my Shakespearean sonnet about this movie?
Go for it, please.
Very proud of this terrible piece of work. Upon a prison hung in silent space, where frozen souls in restless stasis lie, there sparked a bond amidst a mad disgrace, a rogue cast down, a daughter raised on high. Their traded blows stood for love's first kiss, as sparks flew sharp through jabs and veiled retorts, shooting star-crossed lovers lost in flight, yet drawn together by fate's burning light.
Okay, did ChatGPT help you?
No.
Then fucking congratulations. That was good.
Can I reveal a different secret?
Sure.
I wrote that 30 minutes ago before we started talking.
I'll accept it.
I already knew I wanted to do the Shakespeare bit, so I was like, I'm going to write a sonnet because it is nowhere like Shakespeare, but it'll be funny to make fun of it.
That's actually a good sonnet. I'm proud of you. I hold space for your poetry career.
No,
that
thank you.
we're
No,
launching.
thank you. No, thank you. That, honestly, I got lucky.
Worked out great.
Anyway, maybe we should just go through this movie Shakespearean scene by Shakespearean scene.
Let's do it. We open on Washington, D.C. 2079, where the Secret Service, mainly Peter Stormare with a insane American accent that does not hold or have any consistency.
Do you think he was trying to do an American accent? Because that didn't hold.
No. And sometimes he's Texan and sometimes he's not. And it is bad.
It sounds like what I would sound like if you put a gun to my head and said, do an American accent. Because I'm terrible at accents. And I would just sound like I was literally from everywhere.
That is exactly what happens. Because at some points he's just like, sir, I know it's your daughter. And I'm like, where did that come from? You weren't texting a minute ago. But he's torturing Guy Pearce and is like, what happened in that motel room? And Guy Pearce is like, fuck you, nothing, punch me all day, because he's trying to be Snake Plissken.
I think it's incredibly fun. The way he's like getting punched and like just very like nonchalant about the fact he's being tortured, sort of.
Yeah.
It's very funny to me. And then he's like, I'm being beat up by a guy named Rupert.
Rupert.
Like,
yes. And then Rupert comes back a couple times where he's just like, hey, Rupert, what's up?
well, when they're trying to get him to go on the mission, he's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to go. But send Rupert. He seems good.
Well, Well, and then the movie gives Peter Stormare's character, Scott Langrel, a chyron of like head of Secret Service. They do it for no one else in the entire film.
I know.
It's what? Okay.
I love it. It's like when you get like a random voiceover from like a character you did not realize was that important.
Right.
But it's like 45 minutes into the movie.
I bet you're wondering how I ended up here. What? No. Was I supposed to be paying attention to you?
I kind of wonder why you're now the voice in my head. What is happening?
What is this? We cut back to that hotel room where a bunch of people are dead. There's one guy left. There's like a bathroom fight. He's like fighting and shooting him. He calls Mace.
Yeah, so Mace is actually calling Guy Pearce because we come to find out that like there's a much ado about a briefcase page, not to bring Shakespeare back into it, but there's a much ado about a briefcase.
Right.
And there's a guy who's dying on the floor.
Right.
And Guy Pearce is fighting some dude. That's sort of all you know in this moment. And then it shows the phone call from Mace. And then you see Guy Pearce, who is like getting his ass kicked when the scene starts, or it's really just a flashback.
Right.
While the flashback starts. And the way he gains the upper hand, Paige, is he picks up a toilet seat that is not on the toilet, but is leaning against the wall.
Yes.
And I had a million questions just like...
Because there is a toilet seat on the toilet.
There is?
Yes.
It is a duplicate toilet seat that's just in this hotel room?
Yep.
Hey, I'm checking in, and I'm going to be honest with you. Front desk of the JW Marriott New Orleans where I was yesterday, I'm going to need 2 toilet lids because I'm going to wreck that shit.
Look, I don't know if you know, but I ate all the beignets.
I lost at a potluck, guys. I lost at a potluck.
I lost a beignet potluck.
I did go to Cafe Du Monde and get a lot of beignets, which was very nice.
But he dispatches bathroom guy with the extra toilet seat.
Yes.
The spare for your derriere, if you will. And then,
they call it the Dairy Spare. That's their famous jingle.
Yeah, you know it. We all know it. But he goes back to his friend Frank, who's dying on the ground.
Dairy Spare. We got your ass covered. I'm so sorry, Paige. I'm so sorry. I could not live with that just inside me.
Oh, man. Anyway, he goes to his friend Frank, who's dying, and Frank is like, don't let them take this, and hands him a lighter and I believe his dog tags.
It is his dog tags, which lets you know 2 things. He's a military man, and that lighter is going to be important.
Yes. Yeah. And it is. It solves every problem in this movie.
Literally every one of Guy Pearce's problems, right? So like...
Yeah, the lighter's kind of a Mary Sue.
It is. If Guy Pearce had realized that the micro SD card, which they're trying to pass off as literal late 2070s future technology, which I have currently in the recorder I'm recording to. That's like the joke is that it's like what we have today. Anyway, that like is just if he had realized that was just like in the lighter, he would be like, no, fuck the daughter. I'm not going to space.
Right.
Here's the proof of everything. I'm out. Goodbye.
Bye.
So he can't realize that until after the montage that explains the B and C plots.
It's because the movie doesn't know. Like, I think they were writing this movie and didn't know. Because, again, the only reason he's going to space is to avoid prison. And he's like, I'll get Mace while I'm up there. And I'm like, but why do you need him? We don't know anything about his purpose, your purpose. Why is the briefcase important? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy?
You never find out who Mace is.
You never find out where Mace really is. Like, you meet him, but like, why is he? You have no idea.
Yeah, you don't know who he is. You don't know if he works for the government or if he's just one of Guy Pearce's like friends. It could be his brother-in-law. Like, you have no idea.
Not a clue.
You just know he was the guy that Guy Pearce was going to hand off the briefcase to. That's all you know about him. And the reason they have to get him out is because he knows where he stashed it and Guy Pearce needs it.
Right.
He's the treasure map they're searching for.
Right. And within the movie, when you find out what's in the briefcase, what? Like, I understand why they did it, but it's fucking stupid. Like,
it's real dumb. I loved it though. Doesn't it make you like, oh, yes, thank you. That's amazing. Because it's like a Bacter reveal. It's like that level of insane that they would choose that. And I just love that. It's so silly.
Here's what I needed is for the briefcase to actually have secrets and for them to have already passed the secrets off. And then the briefcase is empty and there's like a recorder or something inside. And then they're like, how'd you know the comment? Like that would have fixed it. But no, and I realize that, spoiler, I'm pulling this way too early in the episode. The briefcase is empty.
Right.
It's empty the whole time. Why?
So you'll say this about this movie, yet you love Pulp Fiction. Come on, Paige. It's the same thing, kind of.
The briefcase is not empty in Pulp Fiction. There are many fan theories about what's in the briefcase, and Quentin Tarantino has never confirmed.
That's because Quentin Tarantino doesn't know.
Here's what I will say is I think it's more of a David Lynch thing of the briefcase is whatever you think would motivate that character, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, honestly, he can't say anything
Never.
definitive because it kind of ruins the movie a little bit. I agree.
Yeah.
I love that David Lynch would not reveal that kind of stuff. He's like, I don't want to take away from your experience of watching my art.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like Tarantino in this one particular thing with the briefcase, it feels the same way.
I think it's the right call. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. But this movie, I think, thinks it's doing that.
It's not, though.
And it is.
Okay. It would only be doing that if it didn't reveal what was in it, which is nothing.
Right.
Yeah. That's why it's an insane choice.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like the choice to show someone seeing what's inside it and maybe the reflection off of what's inside it
Right.
and not what's inside it is also a crazy choice. It's a crazy choice that really pays off. This crazy choice doesn't pay off at all. And when it happens, you're like, hell yeah, that's so dumb. Because essentially they do it to trap this guy into revealing that he was in on the plot or maybe even the mastermind behind it.
Right.
That's not clear, but they could have done that with any briefcase with the same combination.
Yes, they could have.
Because it was empty.
Because it was empty the entire fucking time.
So dumb.
And yeah, why even go to fucking space? Why do you need to find that briefcase? It could be any briefcase. God damn it. What? I didn't even think of that about that till now, but yeah,
Paige,
fuck.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's a one-of-a-kind unique briefcase. You could even find out, oh, it's this kind of briefcase. We have to have one with a lock anyway. Let's just buy the same one.
Guy Pearce knows what kind it was. He was holding it.
He has seen it. He has held it in his hand. He knows the combination already.
This is idiotic. This is so dumb. And here's the thing. In Pulp Fiction, the reason it works is because people open it.
Yes.
And it causes you to question what would motivate all of these different people to make drastic, life-changing choices.
Oh, put their lives in danger.
Real danger for what is in this briefcase.
Yeah.
Sidebar. This is why I'm so fucking excited to see Freaky Tales. A couple screenings have happened and people are like, it's got Pulp Fiction vibes and I'm so fucking in.
Nice.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to watch it at Panic Fest. I'm stoked because it's basically it's an ultra-violent Pulp Fiction type movie about the year I was born and the place I was born.
Hell yeah.
And I'm fucking stoked about. There's a basketball player with a samurai sword. Fuck, Pedro Pascal is in it. Fuck me up with this shit. Let's go.
That sounds awesome.
It sounds fucking lit.
Yeah.
Anyway, this movie though, the fucking empty brief. Now that I've realized that they didn't even have to go get the briefcase, I'm so angry. I'm gonna watch Pulp Fiction today to atone. It's been a while.
But so we're getting all this. We see the guy die, the head of NASA or whatever die, and give his dog tags and lighter to Guy Pearce. And then someone comes in and Guy Pearce has to start fighting again. And it shows sort of Guy Pearce, who is at the beginning of the movie being interrogated by the Secret Service. It sort of shows in this flashback how he gets taken.
Right.
And so he gets out of the Paige, it's insane. He gets out of the apartment or hotel room that he's in that a helicopter is shooting at because he hears people cocking guns behind the front door of the building or the room he's in. And so he sets up a mattress like he's hiding behind it. And then they rush in and start shooting the mattress, which of course that would kill you.
Yeah.
But he set that up as just a diversion. And now out of nowhere, he's just behind them.
He's just behind
and
them.
he starts punching them and taking their gun. Anyway, it's insane. And then he gets out and I love the shot where he tries to jump from one building and break a window into the next building. And he just smacks the window and falls down to the street.
I did love that. That was really funny.
That's the moment you know the kind of movie it is. So if you laughed at that moment, you're going to like the rest of this movie. If you're like, this is dumb.
Or not. I laughed at that moment and I was like, I love that windows are always open in movies when they do this,
Yeah.
and this time they're not.
Yeah, or they break. Like I think I've seen that in a Jason Bourne movie where he jumps from one balcony
and it breaks.
into which I mean that would probably happen because the inertia and all that shit. But it was just funny to see the flip of that.
Yes,
and just to know that it's not. This movie's not going to be a realistic movie because he does hit the window on the 4th floor, fall 4 stories to the ground, and then get up and continue running.
He hits like an awning and a mattress, but he falls and hits 2 things, and he was holding the briefcase, and then the briefcase almost hits him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but like 2 seconds later, and I'm like, gravity, like the briefcase would hit the ground first.
This movie has a unreal relationship with gravity as well, and we'll get to it.
In general.
So, yeah.
So many people in that apartment complex are dead. Or motel, hotel, whatever.
Paige, like a Apache future helicopter shot through the building, True Lies style.
Yes.
Anyone in the next 3 buildings on that floor are
dead.
Yes.
Is dead.
Those rounds are like huge. They will saw you in half.
And I'm like, they're going through walls.
Yes.
Like, these are not like steel walls. And I'm like, they just murdered dozens of people for this one guy.
But you see Guy Pearce like continuing to run and he gets down to the subway. Oh, we also see like he's riding a motorcycle, but it's like a unicycle, but it's like a motorized unicycle. And Paige,
we need to fucking talk about
it's amazing.
No.
It's amazing.
No.
Come on, Paige.
We need to fucking talk about this scene because
so much happens. I have so many notes too.
Minority Report, if you'll recall,
I will.
came out long before this movie.
Yeah.
And has a similar scene on a cool bike on like a futuristic freeway that looks incredible to this day.
Yes, still holds up.
This looks like they did it in Grand Theft Auto and then never changed it. They were just like you should have like a wasted like across the screen. It looks so bad. It's fucking embarrassing. Where I'm like, did a child make did a film student make this and is like, I'm going to finish doing the effects later. I have not seen a movie with effects that bad since like Birdemic. Like, it's bonkers.
Yeah. Paige, I want you to think back on this when we talk about the movie budget. And I said, it's going to sound low budget, but it's still going to make you mad. Because I agree.
Yeah.
Like the effects really don't hold up in this chase scene, if you want to call it that. But I want to point out the story beats that happen during this chase scene because they are also hilarious, whether executed well or poorly in this case. Because he calls Mace on the motorcycle, no helmet, probably going 80 miles an hour. That you could not understand anything at that speed. And they would not be able to hear you or anything. But he hears him perfectly, and Mace tells him, ditch your phone. That's how they're tracing you.
Right.
Or like tracking you or whatever. So he throws his phone in what looks like is a like construction vehicle of some sort. Just throws his phone.
It explodes.
The vehicle explodes, Paige, like that phone exploded. Like they had somehow caused his phone to explode, and had Mace not told him to throw it away, he would have been blown up in that moment. And that, I was just like, oh, this movie is just fucking around, and I love it. Like, they're just doing the most with a budget that should make you assume it would look better than this. Because yes, Paige, it is fully 10 years after Minority Report. Minority Report came out in 2002.
So yes, he narrowly escapes the explosion.
Yeah. But then he gets to the subway where he's like set up to meet Mace, and he's running to the train where Mace is, and he throws the briefcase, and it barely gets on the subway car as he gets taken by the Secret Service, and Mace sort of gets away because the train leaves.
Right. But we do see that Mace eventually puts it in a locker. And then the way that Mace gets arrested is so insane. Because he has a gun. He drops it. It goes off. It shoots a cop. That cop shoots a guy. I believe shoots Mace in like the leg or something.
Yeah.
Mace goes down.
Yeah, I did think it was funny that he dropped his gun and then his gun shot a cop.
Yeah.
Like, it's the worst place a bullet could go.
Right. Meanwhile, we cut back to the interrogation room where Peter Stormare has left and they're not torturing anymore. They brought in this other guy. And we don't know who this other guy is or what his thing is, but we do know that Guy Pearce has like ashed on the table and spells out Mace so that the interrogators don't hear it, but this guy knows it.
Right. But this guy is the Carl Winslow character, which you think is like his buddy the whole time, but is not.
Right.
It's Lenny James, who is like, if you don't know him by name, you've seen him because he was in like
Yeah, 100%.
Walking Dead and Snatch and a bunch of great shit. Like, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
But because of this, because it seems like Guy Pearce trusts him, you sort of think he's a good guy.
Right. We cut to the White House, but it's now like a bunker, which, joke's on you, French people. The White House is a bunker.
Yeah, it is.
It is. There's many floors below it. There's also off-site bunkers. There's a whole bunch of bunkers. We're a bunker people.
Yeah, we bunker. We bunker down.
We bunker down.
They also talked about the bowling alley that's in the White House, although it's not in the White House anymore. It's in the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, which is literally next door. It's connected by a tunnel. Like,
Yeah.
My sister's been bowling there before.
Oh, jealous.
She works for the State Department, so, she knows people.
Anyway, so Guy Pearce is saying this is a setup. And the guy that he killed is like the head of NASA. And everyone's like, where's the head of NASA? Wild. While this is all happening, completely unrelated, the president's daughter is going to MS-1 on a humanitarian errand.
Yes.
And they're just like, well, woke. Like, that's basically how they treat her.
But she may as well just get off the space plane. What do they call that? Spaceship?
Shuttle?
Space shuttle, that's the word. Space shuttle by walking on the stairs with a jacket, but the jacket says, I really do care, don't you?
Right.
Like that kind of vibe, because it's the opposite. But she does really care. She's really concerned that these prisoners are being used as experimental subjects, and that the process itself of putting them in stasis is dangerous,
Look, we all know that severance is maybe more dangerous than they've let on, and that Lumen has been doing it way longer than they have talked about. And I guess we'll be exploring it more in season 3.
It did get renewed. I haven't started watching it really. So to me, it sounds like you've joined a cult because you've started a whole new language. But yeah, I can't wait to get into it.
I need to tell you something very important right now, and I need you to hear me.
Okay.
Snakes cannot hurt you, and there are no snakes at the bottom of your bed.
That's a joke that no one's going to get unless you've heard a very specific episode of Dead Authors Podcast.
I've started using it as a real affirmation in my life, and you know what?
It's helpful.
LRH was onto something.
Listen to the LRH episodes of Dead Authors Podcast. It's a lesson in improv comedy. It's amazing.
Or look up LRH's actual books of affirmations, because it is a real one.
I'm sorry, you looked it up. That is a real affirmation?
Yes, that's a real affirmation.
Good God.
Along with things like, I do not masturbate, I do not need to masturbate, and women still find me attractive. They're unhinged, Todd, in the best way.
Oh my God.
Mwah.
Paige, are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that are making eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. You can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, and grab-and-go snacks. And honestly, there's a lot of more add-ons too. That are great. You should check them out. They're pretty great. They have 40 options across I think it's 8 dietary preferences. Don't fact check me on that. It's something like that, though. But you can check on their menu each week. It's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals because you can choose from things like Calorie Smart or Keto, or I think they have a Protein Plus one too. And the best thing is Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, which is perfect for any active, super busy lifestyle, which is why it's so great for me. So eat smart with Factor by getting started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's half off your first box and free shipping, guys. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping off your first box. Do it. You ever watch rom-coms and think, wait a minute, this guy's actually a full-blown villain? Take Love Actually. We've seen the scene where Andrew Lincoln shows up at Keira Knightley's door with cue cards professing his love, even though she literally married his best friend yesterday. But let's rewind a bit. How did he get all that secretly recorded footage of her face? Was that a wedding highlight reel or a surveillance operation? If Keira Knightley had NordVPN, she could have protected her online privacy, avoided unwanted cyberstalking, and maybe even put a little password protection on her wedding footage. Because seriously, how did he even get that? Oh wait, He was the videographer. That's what it is. Either way, that's why NordVPN is the real MVP of the modern romance. Here's the deal. NordVPN encrypts your internet connection so no one, not hackers, not your internet provider, and definitely not your husband's weirdly intense friend can snoop on what you're doing online. And with 7,100 plus servers in 118 countries, you can change your virtual location with a single click, which means yes, you can finally watch that obscure rom-com movie that only seems to be available on like BritBox or whatever. And here's where it gets even better. One NordVPN account protects up to 10 devices. So whether you're scrolling through dating app horror stories, streaming rom-coms, or panic searching, what are the legal consequences of confessing your love via cue cards to a married woman? NordVPN's got you covered. So do yourself a favor. Go to nordvpn.com/romancingthepod and use the promo code romancingthepod, all one word, for an exclusive deal. That's nordvpn.com/romancingthepod to protect your data, to unlock your content, and stay safe from creepy dudes with signs on the street.
Anyway, this is where we get some of the world building about the colony. Like on the flight, they're like briefing her and they're like, parts of it are under construction. There have been problems. We don't see any of that for the rest of the movie.
Right.
This is just useless information. She kind of meets who I thought was the warden, but it turns out is one of the chief engineers because the movie doesn't understand what people are.
I think he's both.
Right?
But yes, that would mean the movie doesn't understand how complex it is to be both a warden and the engineerial head of a space station.
Right.
That's like people who say they're CEOs of multiple companies and running a government agency. Like, that person's not doing that much work in a day. Like,
Spoiler, that person was never doing that much work.
right. That's my point. Like, that's two full-ass jobs that this one character is doing. And I'm not saying that he's not doing them great. I'm saying that he has both those jobs because the screenwriter doesn't understand many things.
Right. He doesn't understand many things, and sooner or later we're going to have to recall all of it to glue panels back on.
Well, it does fall to Earth during this movie. So, like, I mean, maybe that is what happens.
Look, maybe Luc Besson just knew about dipshit money bags before we did.
And the MS-1 is taking the same trajectory that Tesla's stock price is.
The stock.
I hear Elon Musk is producing a horror movie about the stock price, actually. It's called the Tesla Chainsaw Massacre. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry, Paige. I'm so sorry. It's the wrong podcast. I'm so sorry. Is
it where he wears the face of a person who actually invents things?
The talented Mr. Musk.
Why is he carrying that child everywhere? Because he doesn't want people to shoot him.
Yeah. Anyone who uses their son as a human shield is a special kind of person.
And yet Luigi still sits in prison.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they basically are like, she's like, I want to know about the experiments. And they're just like, bitch, we're going to have you talk to somebody. We're going to film a TikTok and then you going back home. Like, we ain't doing much.
Right.
Shake hands, wave, go home.
Yeah, you're there to kiss babies and shake hands, more or less. I mean, not that, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, it's a political...
Which, like, how do they have so many babies in this prison?
That's not what I meant, but you know what I'm saying. It's like a political stunt, sort of,
Yes.
to show that the president cares, and he's like looking into the issues. And the thing is, I get the vibe that he doesn't really care. The president doesn't really care about this or this issue. His daughter does, though. So, like...
The president probably has holdings in the company that has the contract for the privatized space prison, okay?
Probably. I mean, yeah. So, like, he doesn't really care that much. But his daughter does. Like, and that's why I think she volunteered to go. And she has questions. I think she knows she's a political prop, but she has an agenda while there.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that about it. It sort of makes you like her character some.
I think her character is oddly enough one of the more fleshed out characters in this film, in that we understand her wants, needs, and motivations from the jump, and they don't change.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's wild later when he accuses her of not caring, and I'm like, that's literally the only thing we know about her.
I know. You never find out why she cares either. She just, like, is a character that cares, and perhaps is the only one. Like, no one else in this cares about the procedure or the prisoners or what it could be doing to their brains at all, really.
I have a pitch for a much wilder movie.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Everything proceeds the same as it has until this. Well, not the same. We could do better. But like president's daughter going to Supermax space prison because she's there to break out her brother that her father had put there during his election because he was a fuck up and he didn't want it to ruin the election.
Okay. Yeah.
Brother and sister duo.
I don't hate it. Yeah. It's a little Oedipal, but whatever.
Oh, they ain't gonna fuck, but she's gonna like bring him. Have you ever seen the movie Malibu's Most Wanted?
Paige, this will shock you. I haven't, actually. Yeah, I know it exists, and I bet I'd like it.
I don't know how much it holds up. It's been a while. But the character B-Rad is basically the embarrassing son of a local politician who I think he's going for governor of California, I think. And so he basically pays people to kidnap him so that he doesn't go to like a rally because he's like a little white rapper kid who goes by B-Rad instead of Brad.
Kind of love that.
Again, I don't know how much it holds up. But anyway, that's what I'm basically pitching. Malibu's Most Wanted in a space Supermax prison.
I love it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So she basically is like, hey, I think you guys are experimenting for deep space exploration for humans. Basically, that's why you're testing out stasis here.
Yeah.
But it has problems and you don't have authorization to test on these people. And I think they're a main, sponsor of the prison. And I think that's a conflict of interest. And they're like, isn't your sponsor our competitor? And she's just like, guilty.
I mean, yeah.
But we never come back to that again.
I do think that she allowed herself to be this little political pawn because she does care and wants questions answered and knows that because she's the president's daughter, she can ask them whether she's entitled to necessarily or not.
Yep.
But like the implications of what it took her to get to space are kind of gross because it's like, I had to be bribed by your competitor to get me on board,
Yeah.
She's essentially just working as an advocate for like the company that wished they had built MS-1.
Right, right. Exactly.
Which is a little gross, but also where we're headed. So accurate?
Hey, I just hope the food at the Supermax is good. Because I'm going to end up there for the wild shit I be saying about the orange weirdo. So,
Paige, it'll be because you're a woman with an opinion.
Yeah. And I don't plan on not having opinions anytime soon. So,
yeah.
Get ready for me to be fat, loud, and fashionable for the foreseeable future.
Not the triple F, Paige.
The triple F. I think one of those was an L because loud.
Nope.
I can't think of a loud word that starts with F,
Floud.
but you get it.
It was floud.
Floud. Fat, floud, and fashionable. You heard it here. Meanwhile, back on Earth in a holding cell, they're like, Guy Pearce, you have now been sentenced without a trial to 30 years at Space Guantanamo Bay. And he's just like, great.
It's out of our jurisdiction, Paige. They can do whatever they want there. That's why they do it.
Space is international waters. Yeah.
Is it? I actually don't know.
I don't know.
Like, is there space law? I truly don't know what the ramifications would be of a space prison.
Well, the Empire has said no. I'm kidding.
I mean, I've seen Elysium. Is it the same? It's like the opposite.
I mean, all I know is that, like, the Death Star is the jurisdiction of... No, I'm kidding. This is basically a Death Star, but...
It is basically a Death Star. I mean, they even blow it up the same way.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, damn, that pilot 100% used to bullseye womp rats back in his T-16 at home. Like, he nails it.
Stay on target.
He nails it, guys.
Stay on target.
Anyway.
Yes. Anyway, Space Guantanamo Bay. And he's like, all right, he seems really nonplussed about it. And we need him to be more plussed.
He's not very plussed the entire movie. He's very nonchalant the whole time. I love it.
Yeah. But meanwhile, we cut back up to Space Guantanamo Bay and they're interviewing a prisoner. And they have this thing where they're like, on the prisoner's side, we don't allow any weapons, but her bodyguard is on that side.
Yeah.
And he gets through with an ankle gun. And so this prisoner insults him to get him to smash him against the table. And while he does that, he pickpockets the gun. Now, this prisoner with a weird milky eye and a lot of tattoos is, let's just say, addicted to sexual assault.
Yeah. They're definitely a passion of his. Yeah. Yeah.
And they are the wild card of this movie. But he grabs the gun and shoots and hits something. We're not sure what. And an explosion happens. We're not sure how.
He shoots at something off screen and something explodes. We actually don't see what it is.
No idea.
The way they like fool you with this is they show him shooting off screen and then cut to her, like the room that she's in, which is behind, like, I'm assuming a bulletproof glass or at least just like a protective glass.
Right.
Because we see her jumping away as the explosion blows out that window, right?
Right.
So it never shows us what he shot.
No, never.
I was like, love it. time. It's like so like minimal effort on everything.
Minimal effort. And apparently they were right next to the control room because now he's loose with a gun in the control room and he's like, I know what I'm about to do. How about the end of Cabin in the Woods? Everything is free. Like, burn.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it's a huge riot instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, just from a story perspective, I feel like if Demolition Man has taught me anything, stasis takes some time to kind of acclimate to like not being in stasis anymore. So the fact that there's instantly a riot and not just a bunch of sleepy people wandering around being like, where am I again? But then also not a bunch of dead people. I assume a bunch of people died in stasis and they just didn't say anything about it.
Well, yeah, we don't know. I mean, all of these people die anyway. Like, so like these people die. Like at the end of this movie, these prisoners all die.
All die, regardless of their sentence,
Exactly.
regardless of anything. They just nuke it. Yes.
And nobody is like sad about it. Like no one mentions that like, hey, a lot of people were like set to get out in a year or 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
And we just
Doesn't matter.
murked them all.
All of them.
In this. Also, I thought it was funny that like if you woke up everyone in the station, that there would be legit capacity issues.
Yes.
Because you would not need a huge space station for people who are just in stasis.
Right.
They'd be in shelves more or less.
Oxygen resources,
Yes.
basically, which the movie addresses in just a second, but doesn't address at all when
Right.
you've got a bunch of breathing prisoners out there.
Right. Well, not even that, but like the space you would need, you don't need a whole holding cell for one person who's in stasis.
Right.
They would be in like capsules, more or less.
Right.
And just like stacked in a room somewhere. So if you then open all of those capsules and people are out just walking around, like that's going to be like a lot of people in a small space not built for a lot of people.
Well, can I tell you my personal fear of how this would happen? Because your girl, claustrophobic, don't like being in confined spaces.
Don't go to space.
Yeah, and not planning on it. But I think about this like the Japanese capsule hotels.
Oh, I've stayed in one. Yeah.
Right? So if you woke everybody up, I'm assuming they're like stacked like the nightmare doors in Monsters, Inc. Like that kind of a situation. A bunch of these people can't get out of the pods and they're just going to suffocate in the pods.
I mean, probably, yeah.
That's the reality of what's happening is a bunch of people are just having the most fucking terrifying day of their life and suffocating in those pods.
Yeah, they're like 12 rows up on the shelf
Yes,
of people.
yes,
And so their
yes.
choice is to jump to their death or just wait.
Right. And there's no way you can wait for it to get down and like a dry cleaner
Yes.
of like you're just watching
Exactly.
it go along. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, capsule hotels aren't stacked quite that high, but the one I stayed in,
Right.
It was like a 4 foot by 4 foot capsule. And they were stacked 3 tall. So that
Right.
top one was pretty high. You needed a ladder to get up there.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Love Japan. Not going to do the capsules.
I liked doing it once. It was a cool experience. I wouldn't choose it, you know? I would rather stay in a hotel room, but it was a cool thing to do once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he opens them all up and finds her, but it's like a huge riot now. And all of these people, none of them are groggy. And we show later that a bunch of them from the stasis have like long-standing neurological effects.
Yes. I mean, Mace is one of them.
Mace is one of them. We don't see that with anyone else. It seems to be Mace, and then everyone else just came out as like a rage pirate of like, we're awake and there's weapons everywhere. Why did they leave all these weapons around? Don't know. Happy to grab them. And now we're in a full prison riot.
It does kind of seem like you woke up Captain Jack Sparrow's meanest crew members.
Yes.
Because it does have sort of piratey vibes, which I don't hate. But one of the people that wakes up is Milky-Eye's brother.
Right.
Who takes over. And it's like, it's his operation now.
Right.
And it does seem like he is the older brother, which is not quite revealed yet.
Right.
But it is revealed shortly after he wakes up. And his younger brother, Milky-Eye, does sort of look up to him, and the older brother like protects Milky-Eye because Milky-Eye, even before he went into stasis, was insane. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that Milky-Eye was impacted at all by stasis, I guess is my point. Even though he's a crazy character.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And at this point, we find out there's a police space station right off from the Supermax. And I'm like, why aren't they in the same space station? Like, what?
Paige, you've got MS1, and right next door, you got PS1,
PS1, yeah.
which is Police Station 1. What's your precinct? Space.
Spies.
Just like traffic cops in space to me is hilarious.
Do you know how fast you were going? 172.5 million light years, sir.
Slow down before you skip off the atmosphere, asshole. Give you a ticket next time.
License and registration.
You have a cop pull you over in space, and then he has to get out in his spacesuit and like instead of walking up to you all disappointed like they do now, he just slowly floats towards your car.
I mean, this is where RoboCop would be really useful.
Yeah.
But I'm just imagining them just the paperwork.
It's not worth it, guys.
I don't want to put on the space suit.
Guys, let's just let MS-1 fall into the atmosphere and kill everyone on that interstate.
Look, it's a white spaceship. We'll just let it go.
Anyway, the police try and come.
They immediately shoot them down. They activate the cannons.
This is where they set up the space prison's defense system, which is robust and does take out the cops. So it works,
Okay, but let me ask you this, Todd.
Yes.
Why a prison need a defense system like that? I understand that you're trying to prevent escape, but there's no way off it except for that one escape pod, and all you need is one gun to shoot that thing. And you've got the police base right next to it. The police should have the guns in this scenario, just logically.
Agreed, but Paige, you have to know in the year 2079, the Zuckerbergs are gonna have private armies and shit. And so if he got arrested and go to Space Max or whatever, his army would then assault the space prison, I guess. I think that's the world they think this movie takes place in. And that to me is hilarious.
Maybe.
I do think that they think in the future, because of whatever, it's going to end up where the ultra rich have private forces that they can bend the world to their will, or bend space to their will, maybe. And so that would make them immune from this kind of prison. And I'm not saying that the rich won't, and currently kind of already have some of that, but this movie definitely thinks it. Because there is no other reason to put guns to protect people from getting to the prison.
Controversial statement based on a documentary I viewed the other night. That's what rollerball tournaments are for.
How dare you? A documentary, Paige?
I was the old one too. It was the original rollerball.
Perfect.
Anyway, so yeah, they shoot down the cops, which again seems like a crazy loophole. But this is where the main guy, the prisoner who's in charge, is all right, we got to make demands, we got to do whatever. And the crazy guy, milky-eyed, goes rogue.
He does that a lot throughout this movie.
A lot.
Yeah.
They're why can't you just shoot that guy? And he's he's my brother. That's the only story we get about them.
Yeah.
At all.
That's the only bit of context we get. Literally, he's my brother. At the end, he gets killed by the Milky-Eye.
Yeah.
And so he says to Milky-Eye, who's going to take care of you now? So I do think in 2 lines of dialogue, that character does a great job, or that actor does a great job of showing their dynamic.
Right.
But we don't know anything about their history.
Right.
And I think that that's the difference between a good actor and a part that's badly written, right? Because I get his relationship to his brother really well. What I don't get is why that's their relationship at all. You know what I'm saying?
I think we have both a good actor and it's badly written.
That's what I'm saying. And I think that that's how you can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do think both him and Milky-Eye do a great job in this movie. I do think this movie is insane.
Sure.
But they do a good job with it.
Sure. And we find out that there are just under 500 prisoners on MS-1.
Yeah.
Including Mace, which is why, because now that they're president's daughter's a hostage, and they're going to send a negotiator. But at the same time, they're okay, what if?
Yeah.
Instead of sending in the army, which you could have fully just sent in the army. Instead of sending in the army and making it an international incident.
Right. Let's be a little more covert about this.
Let's be covert.
We don't want it getting out that we fucked up and your daughter is being held prisoner in Space Max 1.
Right. In Space Tanamo Bay. Because we like to pretend that Space Tanamo Bay doesn't exist. And multiple presidents have I get it, I'm going to close MS-1, and then they don't.
I mean, yeah.
But what if we just send Guy Pearce? Which is definitely that other guy who being get up there, Mace is up there, we'll get the briefcase, blah, 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 blah.
I thought it was, because the reveal of it all, Paige, I thought it was really him trying to get Guy Pearce killed.
Yeah, probably, because then he doesn't know.
Because it is truly a suicide mission. But you're right. When you're watching it in the movies, if it's your first time watching it, you do think that's why he's sending him up there. Because you think because Guy Pearce told him Mace was the guy he was working with, that you think that guy is a good guy. Like he's on Guy Pearce's side.
Right.
But in the reveal, when you realize that like
The suitcase is fucking empty.
yeah, when you realize that Harry Shaw is like maybe even the mastermind behind the plot that started the movie.
Right.
Then you realize, oh God, he sent him on that mission because he was trying to get him killed.
Right.
Anyway.
But also, the briefcase is empty. No one has to go.
I mean, someone has to go now because the president's daughter is up there. But like, Guy Pearce doesn't has to go, you know?
Right.
Because he like, honestly, as far as Guy Pearce is concerned, like he could just ask Harry Shaw, hey, do you remember what that luggage combination was? It slipped my mind.
Right.
If Harry Shaw answered that, he would be like, oh, it's him. And then he has no motivation to go to space. That's why none of that's revealed yet, because he would not go. He would just be like, no, whatever, I'm out.
But here's the thing. It's not revealed in the movie because it's a problem in the movie.
Right.
It's not a problem in the world of the movie. That's a problem.
You know what's funny though, Paige? They don't even have to do it. Because doesn't he get sentenced to 30 years in this very same prison?
Yes.
So he would be going up there anyway with the motivation of finding Mace to find out where the briefcase is. Like,
right.
It doesn't make whatever. It's crazy that like they choose to send him this way when they were just going to send him anyway.
And the only difference this way is that he doesn't go into stasis.
Right, but like, okay, move the stasis procedure to like day one on the station. So you have to get him there awake, right?
Maybe.
And then he like escapes while he's like going under the procedure or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. It's just silly to me that the briefcase is empty. Like it's crazy, but that's how they get him to go up there.
It's madness.
Yeah.
Anyway, meanwhile, the prisoners put the warden/engineer into the airlock. It turns out he's the head like engineer, technician or whatever, and that's why we're going to have problems later. But they're like, hey, we're going to kill a hostage every hour until you guys like give us our demands. What are the demands? We never get them.
Well, I think that weird reading of this movie. None of this was planned.
No.
That guy's awake because his brother like was woken up to talk to the president's daughter and got a gun. And so now he's awake. They don't have a plan.
Right.
So I think he's just like in his mind like, oh, we're holding a place hostage. He doesn't know he has the president's daughter yet.
Right.
But he knows the dynamic. And he's like, okay, so we need to like come up with some demands or something. Like he's on the fly. Like he just literally woke up, has no idea what's going on except his brother's in control of the station.
Which I'm like, how do you not know what your demands are? Commute our sentences.
Oh, and he does eventually talk to like the negotiator.
Right.
And the negotiator's like, okay, you're not going to get everybody out, but we can probably get you and a few people out. It's called breakage. Like we have a term for it. It's so common, you know?
Yeah.
So like he does sort of help, let's just say hone in on what his demands are, which I thought was funny as well.
Right. And this is that scene literally where like they send the negotiator up and the negotiator, the line delivery from that man, unfathomable. It is like he's reading cue cards that are on the other characters' foreheads. It is bonkers.
It is funny. I also like that we are seeing like through a camera that is back at HQ where they're watching the negotiator. We realize that one of those cameras is like his glasses, right? So there's like a camera built into that guy's glasses. So it does sound like he's reading cue cards, Paige, and then he takes his glasses off literally to serve the scene so they can show him showing on his glasses camera the like people who are holding people hostage and like what guns they have, how many there are. But if you're looking at his line delivery, it seems like he can't see the cue cards.
Right.
So he just took his glasses off so he could see the cue cards better. And then they just like wrote in, okay, what if we just like built into the scene that like they also needed to see how many people were there?
We just cut to another shot. Yes.
Yeah. Like they shot that 3 hours later when that guy left set. Like to explain why he took his glasses off.
Insane.
It was funny to me.
This lasts all of a minute or two before they just like shoot that guy.
Yeah. Well, it's because milky-eyed comes over and puts like he fucks everything up all the time. Yeah. So
all the time because he's like, I need you to release one hostage to prove that you're in charge and prove that you're the guy that we can work with.
Right.
Okay.
But Milky-Eye has set his one good eye, and it's the milky one, on the president's daughter.
Spoiler, by this point in the movie has forgotten he has a milky eye and it is only occasionally present.
Paige, I think it's a narrative choice by the director because they were lazy on set and didn't want to put the milky eye in. But I do think that like,
I have a thought. I think maybe they were putting it in digitally and they just missed.
oh God, that would be funny too. I mean, I don't know. But like he does have it in like, I would say 40% of the scenes he has it.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's really because Milky Eye like is, I think, planning on doing some terribly sexually assault type shit on the president's daughter. Not because she's the president's daughter, but because he's into it.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, because the negotiator's like, listen, we could probably get a few of your people out, but they need to know that you're the guy to talk to. So you have to prove that you can get shit done in this situation. And the only way to do that is give us a hostage. And he knows, the negotiator does, that the president's daughter has been like injured on her leg. And he says, listen, I don't care who you give me, but like, I know because we've done this a bunch that like, it's great if it's a woman, a child, if you have like a injured hostage, that would be great. So he's like, through this very casual way, like leading this person to thinking of the president's daughter, who he doesn't know is the president's daughter, obviously, and getting him to like release her as the hostage to prove that he can get shit done in this new dynamic. And it's like expert level negotiating. Like he does an amazing job here.
Yeah.
And the only reason it gets fucked up is because the Milky Eye brother is like, oh, you just want to injure like hostage? And he shoots another lady.
Yeah.
And it kills that lady. Like Milky Eye is fucking shit up all the time. But because of that, the negotiator gets killed and just like everything gets messed up, right? And Guy Pearce, during all of this, we've been seeing him like get into space and he's now like on top of the space station page. And so he's like, do I even need to do this? Because are they going to take the president's daughter out successfully this way? That would be great. But it gets messed up. So he has to like continue his mission. And Paige, I want to point out that they're in space at this point because the way it gets out of this like killing of the negotiator scene is it cuts to Guy Pearce and he jumps in space down. He like jumps up and it like gravity pulls him down and he's in space, Paige, and he's being pulled down by gravity. In space. This movie fundamentally doesn't understand gravity many times.
No.
Why didn't the space station drop him off at the door? He could just climb in. Why did the spaceship drop him off at the top when he could just whatever? It's so silly.
We reveal now that the prisoners can see him.
Yes.
So like
They know he's on board immediately.
why don't they just go get him? I mean, they kind of send like one guy.
They tried. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons like that splits up the brothers. That's the reason we don't really get Milky Eye for like the next hour of the movie.
We do get that cool loop of explosives.
Yeah.
But they all kind of split up. But this allows the president's daughter and her bodyguard to run, and they lock themselves in a room, and the bodyguard shoots what he thinks is the thing to keep the door closed, but it is actually the thing modulating the oxygen in the room.
Yeah. So like, it's like a ticking clock, right?
But at this point, because like Guy Pearce does kind of enable them to get away, but she punches him and now they're in the locked door and he's like, not my problem anymore.
Right.
So he's trying to find Mace while the other prisoners are trying to fight him.
Right. Because he doesn't really care about her all that much. Like,
right.
He's on a mission.
Right. Now, within that door, down on, I don't know if they're in space because it looks like they're in the same place that the police station is, but then maybe they're on the ground. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, she's about to suffocate because of the hydrogen oxygen mix in that room. So you've got to do this weird space fan jump where the fan turns off, then it turns on, but he gets across.
Paige, those are the gravity like generators that like create the gravity on the ship by just like spinning like a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can do the one stunt they're going to do that requires wires in the movie. And so they do all that. And he like gets attacked while they're spinning through it and he fights the guy off. And then like, I don't know. It's very silly. Like it's very like Mission Impossible action movie.
Mm-hmm. And
he gets through to the other side of the only cylinder in the space station for which there is no gravity.
Right.
And then moves on to the next part where he then gets into the room. But I do think while like they're trying to get into the room that she's in, they're being the like bad prisoners, right?
Right.
And he's trying to like break into it from above. Like the Secret Service agent or whoever's with her in that room where she's about to die in and is also taking up oxygen does like a very sweet, insane thing where he like tells her like a few things like here's how like the air operates in the room. I think he says like oxygen's lighter than nitrogen, so stay close to the ground.
Yeah.
Because he then kills himself so he'll stop breathing her air.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was like, that's like so sweet and like so strange and crazy. Like, oh my God.
It is, but that is the job. Like, his job is to take a bullet for her,
I know.
even if he's the one shooting that bullet. Yeah.
I know, it's crazy. It's just like a crazy example of something that like is a choice that they might actually make in that moment, you know?
100%.
Crazy.
Anyway, Guy Pearce crashes through the ceiling. He like has like a portable defibrillator. He brings her back.
That he uses through her eye though, Paige. Like he shocks
God, that was so
her
gross.
brain directly through her eye.
Yeah.
By the way, her eye's fine. She's using it the rest of the movie. There's no eye patch, and he stuck a needle in her eye.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And it was a self-guiding needle.
You know, one of those famous self-guiding needles.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he pulls her out right as the other prisoners are breaking in, and they're crawling through the vents, but they can hear their comms through the vents. And so they're like, ooh, hey, find an engineer, get the prison's comm experts, let's turn off the comms.
Yeah.
So they're basically flying blind at that point.
And they have a track record of killing a lot of engineers because they killed the warden who was like head engineer apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to get the door open that the president's daughter was in dying of nitrogen poisoning.
Right.
While trying to get that door open, they killed like 3 or 4 engineers.
Right.
Because like the way they get help, he's like, bring me 2 engineers. And then he shoots one immediately and then says to the other one, I hope that like short circuits the conversation of it's not possible.
Right.
Because like, I'll kill you. And then this one, after he fails to open it in like enough time, starts peeing himself. And the guy says, we need another engineer because this one sprung a leak. And then when they bring him another engineer, he shoots that guy. He like shoots the guy who's peeing himself. Anyway.
Yep.
They're just going through engineers is all I'm saying.
Speedy.
Yeah.
But essentially, he and President's daughter get to another closed off locked space.
Yeah.
Where they have a conversation that makes no sense. Because he's like,
It's because he's a smartass. That's why it doesn't make any sense, Paige. But they're in this, I think it's an infirmary because he was told by Carl Winslow to like patch up her leg. So like he is patching up her leg. He is like giving her a shot to numb the nerves or whatever. And she's asking him all these questions like, who are you? What are you doing here? And he's like, I'm here to save you. Your dad sent me. And she's like, oh, does he have a message for me? And he's like, yeah, you're adopted. Like it's, he's just being an asshole the whole time. And I loved it.
That's not the part that doesn't make sense to me. But yes, he is being an asshole. The part that doesn't make sense is a little bit later because they give her shots so she can walk on her broken ass shot leg for 24 hours or whatever magically.
Yeah. But the way they even get into the infirmary is hilarious to me because they're like in what is more or less the air vent.
Right.
Crawling through it with a lighter. It's very Die Hard in this moment. And she goes, is this safe? And he goes, yeah, it's perfectly safe. And they like fall out of the air vent because it collapses beneath them. And then she, like he's on his back and she's on her stomach, but in between his legs, like she's filleting him.
Right.
And his first line in that scene is, oh, I appreciate it, but like, I'm good. You can just say thanks. Like, and then he continues to be like a snarky, wisecracking asshole the whole scene. It's very funny to me.
But they have this conversation of like, okay, she's fixing things up. But as they're kind of holed up in there, they find some guns. They find out where the pod is. And he basically takes her to the pod and is like, okay, have fun. But there's only one pod.
Yes.
There's only one seat.
Yeah. But as they're going, she sees like, oh, here are the people to save everybody. And he's like, that's not a fleet to save everybody.
No.
So she sees that before she gets in the pod, which informs what she does in the pod, right?
Right.
Because there's a reason they're not attacking yet.
Right.
And she doesn't want everyone on board to die until a little bit later when she's just fully fine with it seems.
Well, yeah. I think at that point she's like, at least if you nuke it, they can't experiment anymore. But I'm like, but then you're just killing everybody. Like, the motivation makes no sense.
Right. She literally is going there because she is concerned that the prisoners are being experimented on.
Right.
She has compassion and like thinks that they're valuable people who like should be allowed to contribute to society after rehabilitation. When they all die, she's just like, man, I'm glad we survived.
I'm glad that's over.
I know. Which, like, it is a harrowing experience, but I do think she would be like, damn it, I was trying to save them.
But here's my problem, because at this point, when she gets out of the pod and they have a conversation where he's just like, you're only here because you're making an appearance, you don't actually care.
Yeah.
And then the movie feels like what she does later is her actually caring. And I'm like, no, it's literally the thing you accused her of, like, moments ago. But he doesn't know her well enough to even have this conversation.
Right.
And then she's like, well, you do whatever. And I'm like, you don't know him well enough to, like, you guys have not really talked. Like, what is this?
I do think that some stuff was cut out of the movie. I really do. Because I do think we missed some of that. Although this doesn't happen yet because they still haven't, like, tried to split up.
Yeah.
And they got to go find Mace before all that conversation happens, right?
Right.
But yeah, like, they definitely, I'll just say it, in the infirmary scene, there's definitely something going on between them.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, here's the thing. They're trying to do a Han Solo Princess Leia thing and it ain't working.
I was going to say Indiana Jones, Margot Kidder. Not Margot Kidder. What's the...
Kate Capshaw in Temple of Doom.
Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Yes.
Mhm. Yes. And yeah, you're right. It's just not really. I mean, he's not Harrison Ford.
Right. But it's like in that lane. I do think that you're like... I think that's what they were going for.
Right.
But he is like a wisecracking asshole and she is not into that. But she's got like other things to worry about.
Yeah, he's not charming enough of a wisecracking asshole for me. He's very flat, but that's the least of this movie's problems.
I think he does a great job in this movie. I think Guy Pearce is having the most fun in this movie.
I think he's having a lot of fun. I don't think the end product was great, but he does seem to be having fun.
I mean, I agree with that too, but I would fully watch a sequel to this. As long as Guy Pearce was in it, I'd watch it.
I got news for you. You could have a sequel to this, but it's Kurt Russell instead. And isn't he the way more charming asshole?
I mean, yeah. But like, I do want, I wouldn't hate a Guy Pearce version, is all I'm saying. Like, I think he's pretty great in this movie.
Anyway, they find Mace by like going through the prisoners who like see them. First. He dresses her like a prisoner and cuts and dyes her hair.
And then punches her in the face, Paige. This is where he punches her, yeah.
And then punches her in the face so that she has, it looks like she's been through a fight. But they get to Mace. They pull Mace into like another airlock where it is revealed that Mace has suffered the effects of stasis and he's not doing okay.
Right.
It has scrambled everything up top.
Yeah, because when Guy Pearce sees Mace, he's like talking to him like Mace would like normally respond like a regular person, but he is seemingly just spouting gibberish, saying things like lullaby and like whatever, and just like crazy words that like the president's daughter does decode a little bit later.
Right. In an insane montage.
It is pretty much the Kaiser Soze reveal of montages, but in this movie, and it's perfect, Paige. But it doesn't make sense to Guy Pearce, and he's like, what's going on? And that's why the president's daughter is like, this is why I'm here. I was afraid that the stasis process was causing this kind of dementia. We've seen it before.
Right.
And so like that sort of does explain a little bit more of her motivation for being there.
Right.
Not why she got into it, but what's happening to them that she was afraid was happening.
Well, and that's why she is the most fleshed out character.
Yeah.
We do understand her motivations for everything, really. But anyway, the prisoners are out to find them. And so they're trying to like break into the room. So they run into something that just says high radiation area.
Oh, they do that in like the most perfect way though, Paige, because she's like, okay, so we're just going to like run out of here or whatever. And he's like, just calm down. I know exactly what I'm doing, as they're walking into this door and then it closes behind them and it says high radiation area. Just like, he clearly doesn't have any idea what he's doing. And that like, the movie is even pointing that out to you. And that to me is very funny. Like it makes it sort of like almost tongue in cheek, which I kind of enjoy.
Here's the thing. I would chalk it up to tongue in cheek if I thought the movie ever understood what it was doing.
Oh, I think the movie knows it's doing that there, you know?
Maybe.
I think that there are other moments in the movie that I think for me play well, but I don't think are intentional.
Yeah.
But because I think it's silly, I'm into it, but like seem like, oh, that's just too much for most people probably.
Yeah.
And I get that. Like I get it. Like to me, the worse that chase scene looked where he was on the Una motorcycle, the better it was for me.
I was cackling.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, fuck, this is amazing, Guy. Guy Pearce, you're the best. I love it.
If the rest of the movie had been, and again, this just again goes to my key frustration of story is free.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Story is free.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
Anyway.
About that part of it. Yeah.
So she takes off her like beeping health monitor thing and leaves it. So they don't really have a great lock on her, health anymore. Although they will reference it many times later.
Yeah, they will.
As if she's still wearing it. But anyway, they get to a door where they get locked out. Mace gets locked in. And they're going to open that airlock. So Mace has a limited amount of time. But this is where he's like, Locker, I foresee you lullaby.
Yeah. So like, it's not that they're going to open the airlock. It's that the space station, because they killed the engineering staff.
Right.
And it requires an engineering staff to kind of fly it to keep it in orbit.
Right.
And it's not like, it's probably not flying it in like the traditional sense, but it's like just maintaining that like orbit around the Earth, right? But because that staff is gone, it's now falling, and it falls into the International Space Station, which starts to break the room that he's in.
Right.
So it's like the air is getting sucked out of it slowly.
Sucked out from that crash. Yeah.
Yeah, from the crack. Because I don't think it ever breaks fully, but it does. Like you see him turn like into a sickle, like a macicle.
Macicle.
Yeah.
And at this point in my notes, I just have, normally you'd find out more about your B plot along the way.
Nope.
Not this movie.
They kill the one person who can explain the B plot to you, albeit badly because he has dementia, but could reveal some stuff. They kill him immediately. Like he's trying to find Mace the whole time. And he dies 2 minutes after we meet him.
And she's like, I'm sorry, I know he was your friend. And he's like, yeah, but like I didn't put him here. But this is the conversation of like, oh, like most people run for cover. And I'm like, she's literally on the space station, dude. Like, what? And it's just like both of them accusing each other of things we haven't seen on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Because they're both sort of accusing each other of having like soft, simple lives and not being the people that stand up. And they both were that. They both are that people.
Right.
Because she definitely has a level of privilege most never get to.
Right.
And she still cares about these 500 prisoners. And he is clearly like, because he's our good guy and we know that, he clearly is on some like secret government, probably through NASA mission, where he was like trying to find a mole that was selling NASA secrets, I guess. So like, they're both the people that stand up in times of crisis and shit. Like, what are you saying?
Clearly.
Like, it felt almost like lifted copy and paste from a different script.
Yes, 100%. But they're about to be in trouble because the whole space station is going to crash into the eastern seaboard in about 8 hours.
Yes.
So now they got to blow it up.
Oh, I guess I was saying it was a LA highway, but I guess it's like a highway in New York or whatever.
Jersey Turnpike?
Yeah.
Yeah, something. Anyway, this is where he's like, you get in the pod, I'll race you down. But no, there's only one seat. She doesn't take it. She's like, I think I got to keep the hostages alive. However,
can I say something here?
Mm-hmm.
I think at this moment in the movie, she knows that Guy Pearce is going to die and that he just put her in the only escape pod. And that fleet out there is not to save everybody. It's to destroy the space station.
Right.
And right now she's like, I would rather die with Guy Pearce than lose him. And so she makes the ultimate sacrifice to stay on board.
Bonkers.
So that she can get dicked down by Guy Pearce for at max 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what he says as the character. So I believe him.
Here's the thing. He hot.
I get it.
He ain't that hot. You only known him for 45 minutes, girl. Do you know how many people are that hot on Earth? Get back to Earth.
There's definitely at least one more.
Yeah. Snake Plissken. And like, homegirl, if you think an eye patch doesn't make a difference, it makes a difference.
Where's the other eye patch though, Paige?
Dealer's choice.
It covers the whole.
I know, but dealer's choice on which one?
It would be funnier if like his dick had a eye patch that was just
on the end of it.
It was just like off center, you know? So like it had two eyes or whatever, but one of them is covered. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That snake tattoo though, you want to follow it all the way down. I know you do. Anyway.
Of course I do.
But I do think that she gets off of the space station escape pod here because she's like, I'm not going to leave if there's a chance that you die. And it's so sweet, but so unearned in the movie because like, I do think in that one infirmary scene, there is some chemistry. it's not, I'm going to sacrifice myself possibly to make sure you survive this.
Yeah.
And that is sort of the choice that she makes here.
That's the choice she makes.
She's like, man, I have not found a man that will punch me the way Guy Pearce does. Like, what is the reason she would be this attracted to him? I don't know. It's funny to me. It makes me laugh.
Can we also talk about, she's like, I got to stay here to get the hostages out. And then literally the very next scene is Milky-eyed being like, hey girl, I'm going to shoot a hostage every 3 seconds till you tell me where you are. And she's like, no, I'm on floor 3. And then he just shoots everybody anyway.
Paige, the way he starts that is he starts like calling her over the PA system or whatever and shooting one of them. He doesn't explain what he's doing.
Nope.
He just shoots somebody and then comes back and is like, oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you what I'm doing. I'm killing someone every 3 seconds until you get here.
Right.
And so like, he then does that.
Yeah, he kills everybody.
But he starts by killing somebody and is like, oh, let me give you the context for what's happening. It's very Milky-eyed. It's very funny.
It is, but this is why she tells them to blow it out of the sky, because all the hostages are dead, because the hostages are the only people she views as people.
Right.
Which is like...
It's bonkers because she's there because she views the prisoners as people.
Right.
And so within 45 minutes of arriving at the space station, she's like, no, prisoners are terrible. Kill them all.
Yep.
In fact, not just kill them all, because she gets taken, right?
Right.
And Guy Pearce is like knocked down an elevator shaft, so he's disposed for the moment. So she gets taken to the control room where they all are, and they call her dad the president, and they're like, we're going to kill your daughter unless you XYZ. And then here, talk to your daughter. And she goes, kill everybody.
Yeah.
So it's not that the prisoners are people, kill them. It's kill me and them.
And them.
Because that's how much I don't value any of their lives anymore.
Anybody. Well, and so they end up in an elevator that gets stuck between floors, which conveniently lets them out in the experimentation room, which is
Right.
where the other prisoners happen to conveniently be.
Yeah, never go to the 33 and a third floor.
Yeah, never. But then they shoot Guy Pearce and he falls back into the elevator shaft. That's how they get separated.
Yes. Yeah, that's the elevator shaft I was talking about. Yeah.
But they open comms to talk to the president. And when they do, they're able to talk to Guy Pearce. And Guy Pearce, they're like, hey, man, you probably going to die because of your health monitor that you don't have.
Right?
But you should probably get outside the ship. We're about to blow it up.
Yeah, and this is where the space battle starts.
Right. Because at this point, they're like, tell your dad to call off the assault or I'm going to let my brother have you. And she's like, blow this shit up.
Yeah.
And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, wild card. And her dad, the president, is like, no, I'm not going to blow this up. That's my daughter. And they invoke the 25th Amendment,
Yep.
which like, it's wild because most Americans had never heard that amendment existed until like 2020.
It was probably closer to 2016 they heard it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's been around.
Yeah.
It's been around.
Yeah.
But it basically is you can remove a president if they are compromising the security and safety of the country and are mentally unfit to lead. And they have tried to do it to the last 3 presidents.
Can I tell you who has the authority to invoke the 25th Amendment?
Yeah, because I don't think it's the head of the Secret Service.
It is absolutely not. That motherfucker doesn't even have a say in it.
Right.
It is the president's cabinet, I believe.
Yes, it's the cabinet has to vote on it.
Which you have to have, I think, a majority or maybe even 2/3 majority vote in the cabinet to invoke. So, like, the way the head of the Secret Service casually takes control of the U.S. government is insane. And at this point, you think he's the big bad guy.
Right,
It's
right.
revealed that he's actually a good guy. It's insane to me. I loved it.
But he basically uses this to be like, you're crazy for wanting to save your daughter. Nuke it from orbit.
Yes.
Like, it's
Yeah.
nuts.
And that's when they start the space battle where, like, a lot of, X-Wings or whatever this universe equivalent is gets blown up, but one gets through and they fly in the center of the space station and they literally drop a bomb into it in the middle. And then as we're seeing this, it's cutting to like the girl from Lost and Guy Pearce like running in and putting on the powerlifting suits and like running and jumping down. And at this point, they would be experiencing gravity because it's no longer in orbit. It's in free fall into the planet.
Right.
So they are getting pulled down and then the space station explodes and they just get pushed further into the atmosphere.
And they would burn to death. Like, there's no way.
Well, that's why they're wearing the powerlifting suits. That's what gets them through. And Paige, they would have probably burned up either way. But that is how the movie gets them through the atmosphere. It's very, and I'm not saying Sandra Bullock ripped this movie off, but it's very similar to what I think they do better in the movie Gravity.
Right.
Where she it's like a one solid shot from like space to ground. It's like so well done in that movie. In this movie, it's like haphazardly done. But I also kind of love it.
Well, and they like clip out of the suits.
Well, yeah, because once they get into orbit, the suits explode off of them like they're like Iron Man's armor.
Only his.
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Hers doesn't. He has to get her out because she gets hit with a piece of debris and is unconscious.
Yeah.
And then he clips her to him and then triggers both their parachutes.
Yes.
And then they land separately despite being clipped together on the freeway.
Right. The freeway that, because you see people wheeling body bags behind them, must just be littered with MS-1 debris and dead bodies of people who were just victims of a space station falling to Earth.
Here's the thing. If it's debris falling on cars, I understand the body bags. But bodies would just burn up in the atmosphere. So like...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's those body bags are not the prisoners because they are dust above the atmosphere.
They are Donnie Darko.
Yeah! They're a movie that's so bad, someone has to explain it to you before you start to enjoy it.
Hey, there's a lot of movies like that. We talked about Pulp Fiction earlier.
I don't want to piss off people who like Donnie Darko because those people are vicious, but those movies aren't in the same level of enjoyment on a first watch for anybody.
That is true. Pulp Fiction I find enjoyable regardless of what you know about it.
Yes.
That it is why, because people have compared Freaky Tales to it, I am even more excited to see Freaky Tales. But
me too.
Anyway, so we cut to the hospital where she has one of the worst wigs I've ever seen. She has Kate McKinnon's wig from the SNL sketch where Kate McKinnon was abducted by aliens.
And I've been watching a lot of SNL playlists on YouTube.
Yes.
That are like SNL characters making not cast members, but like guests break during scenes.
Yeah.
And every one of those.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling was my favorite one. But there's also one with somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but she's so funny. But the wig, especially when it's like not blonde, which is her actual hair color, when he like is making her look like a man so they can sneak through like what is essentially Gen Pop.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like that version of it, because it's brown.
Gen Pop, favorite K-pop band. I'm kidding. I don't think that's a real one. But if there's not a K-pop band called Gen Pop, get on that K-pop.
I know, right? Make it your Menudo.
Just change people out,
yes.
And that's why it's called Gen Pop.
Yeah.
I think they already do that with a lot. I don't know who's in Blackpink at any given time.
I don't know what Blackpink is, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask.
We'll watch one music video after, and you will like it, and that'll be it. But anyway.
Paige just became a fortune teller.
Yes. Anyway, it's a bad wig.
Yeah, I guess ultimately the point we're trying to make with this conversation is that it's a bad wig. But she does look like Kate McKinnon in those scenes.
My gassy knoll, or my gassy hole and my grassy knoll. That.
Yes.
That exact sketch.
Yes.
They stole that wig
yes.
and put it on her in the hospital. They get a different wig in the immediate next scene, but in the hospital, they were just like, you've seen aliens, right?
So Paige, I think the reason they're doing this is because she's in the hospital and we see her with hair the same length as it was on the space station, but now blonde. Like they washed the oil out of it or whatever he put in it, right?
Right.
And then as she's doing the montage of like putting together the, I'm going to say like riddle that she got from Mace.
As she becomes Kaiser Soze.
Yes. As we would be holding our coffee cup in front of a chalkboard, like dropping it in slow motion because we're watching her learn all this and discover it. But she is like, it's a little bit later, so her hair's a little bit longer, but not much longer. Like I think they're doing it, and they show it later when at the very end when he gets out, and her hair's a little bit longer. Then I think it's just to show the passage of time.
Yeah.
Because as she's looking in the montage, we should just explain what the montage is, right?
The montage is she literally Kaiser Soze's where the empty fucking useless briefcase is.
I know. Paige, It's like this whole buildup. She is like decoding this mad message and the passcode for the locker she finds.
Right.
Because we find that green lockers, and it was like green, he was something he was saying a lot.
Lullaby.
And lullaby. The word lullaby is like spray painted across one or two lockers.
Right.
So it's probably one of those two lockers. And she goes over to the panel and him saying, I see you, I foresee you.
I foresee you.
That actually was the passcode, not him just gibbering about I see you, right?
Right.
So like she types in I see you, I foresee you, and it opens the locker and she grabs the briefcase that I will remind you is fucking empty. There's nothing in that. So like I kind of wanted her to be like grab it and be like, man, this is this is light. I mean, I guess data is really small because it can fit in these small things. So maybe it's whatever. But like it's empty. It's insane.
And not only that, because it shows flashbacks of her like things he said and her being like, aha, Union Station. Yes, the blue platform. Like the amount of things she would have had to decode and be right to be there is...
Even if she was like, I definitively know that the riddle starts here.
Right.
And not even like starts here as like, this is the beginning of the riddle.
Right.
This is the beginning of the directions he's giving me. Like she would also have to know exactly where to be standing, when to start playing through the riddle in her head so she could find it. So it's not even like a treasure map. It is like, if you're standing in this one specific spot, now you can see the treasure map. But you got to get yourself to the spot on your own.
I will also remind you, she is the president's daughter.
Right.
So imagine if like Malia Obama or Chelsea Clinton was just like standing in the middle of a fucking train station with no Secret Service being like, I see you, I see you.
And also Paige has just been all over the news because she was just in this insane event.
Because she was in a fucking prison explosion.
Yes. Everyone would be like, oh my God, that's you.
Yes.
I've seen you with your new haircut on the news a lot in the past 3 days or whatever.
I see you, I foresee you. As in like, I have seen you 4 times on the news today. Oh my God.
It's an amazing movie, guys.
Anyway, so she finds it. She finds the empty fucking briefcase. And then we get like a flashback to what actually happened in the hotel room. We realized there was like a mirror. It was a Mexican standoff.
Right.
It was a setup.
We realized that the reason the guy we think is the ultimate bad guy, who is the head of the Secret Service, the reason he thinks Guy Pearce killed the head of NASA isn't because he's in on the plot. It's because he saw a reflection in a mirror.
Right.
He wasn't even necessarily tricked. It was just there was a mirror there and he was looking at it from like really far away in binoculars.
Right.
And so like it looked like it because of the mirror and he didn't realize it. And so you're like, oh, I guess it was just like a misunderstanding. So he was trying to kill Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
But that also lets you know, okay, so he's not the bad guy. He just didn't know what happened. So that's when it cuts to the scene where Guy Pearce is like talking to Harry Shaw, Lenny James in the movie.
Right.
And it's revealed like, hey, do you want the case? I've got it here. And Harry Shaw's like, hell yeah, let's get it. Where's the case? Because that's what you and I have been in on, trying to get the case back in safe hands this whole time.
Right.
And then he has someone bring the case in, Guy Pearce does, and puts it on the table, and then Harry Shaw opens it, and he's like, what I don't understand is how you knew how to open the case.
Boom, roasted.
It would have been so funny if it was like, I mean, it was the combination was all zeros. I just like guessed it was no one set it up. So like I just put it on all zeros. But now that guy is the mole or whatever because he happened to know the passcode of the case.
Right. So Guy Pearce takes the lighter and marks him as a snitch.
Yes.
And then after, the lighter is now out of fluid because it solved every problem in the movie.
Right.
And so he pulls the cartridge out. And there's a little tiny...
It's a micro SD card, Paige.
Yeah, a micro SD card.
You have one in the Zoom you're recording to right now.
I know.
It's the same one. I mean, it's probably like way bigger.
It's not. Mine is the bigger one. Yeah. But yes, yeah.
But it's like a micro version of that, right? I have cameras that use the smaller version. Like my drone uses this version of SD cards. And you can get like huge versions of them now, like gigs sized, that small. So the fact that in 2080 almost he would have an immense amount of data on something that small like makes perfect sense because in 2012 you could do that.
Yep.
It's funny to me.
It is pretty funny.
But in this scene is when it's like you think they're gonna kiss and instead she punches him in the face. And man,
She should have kissed him after.
Paige, I remember saying last week when I set this up that they kiss at the end of the movie, and I thought they did. So I am honestly shocked and surprised that there was no kiss in this movie. I do feel like it makes it not a romantic movie, really. And I apologize because the whole time I was going to be like, this has as much romance as Angus does and as almost as much action as True Lies does. And so, like, we'll count it. I'm not sure this one really does fit because there is no kiss, although it is heavily implied they're about to go back somewhere. And I'm just going to assume it is whatever the city that they're in's version of Nashboro Village to just like bang it out by the riverfront for 10 minutes right after we get credits in the movie. But there technically is no kiss.
Right.
And that's the
movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, tell me what you thought about 2012's Lockout.
Oof, magoof.
Yeah, Paige, I understand why you don't like it. I get it. I don't think you're wrong. I also like it for a lot of the reasons you don't, though. But it does feel to me like, man, someone saw Die Hard and loved it. Someone saw Aliens and loved it. Someone saw like Snake Plissken be awesome in his 2 movies and loved it. And they were like, I can do that. And they couldn't, but someone gave them money to try.
Right.
And then we got this movie, and it feels like, you know how Shane Black convinced some people to give him money to make The Nice Guys?
Yes.
And it didn't pan out because not many people went and saw it.
But it's a great movie.
It's still a great movie. I watch it all the time. I recommend it all the time to people. Lockout to me feels like, man, the guy in Fifth Element has another quirky idea for a movie. Let's give him some money and see if it pans out. And it didn't pan out this time. And I kind of love it. But I'm not saying you're wrong at all. I just love it for the swings it takes because it's so like minimal effort and just silly, wild choices. And also like Guy Pearce, I feel like is doing a great job. I like the girl from Lost whose name I forget, and I'm so sorry. I think she does a better job in this than she does in Lost.
I think her name is Maggie Grace.
It is Maggie Grace, and I am just now realizing that I thought that was the old lady who was the teacher in Harry Potter. So that's why I wasn't saying her name, because I was like,
That's Maggie Smith.
I know that now. But that's the reason I wasn't saying Maggie Grace, because I was like, it's definitely not Maggie Grace. That's the wizard in Harry Potter or whatever. Anyway, but I think she does a great job in this movie. Milky-eyed does a great job. His older brother in the movie does a great job. Like all your principal characters do a great job, except for the head of the Secret Service, who I've seen do great jobs in other movies. But because of his indiscriminate accent, it seems weird. Everyone else is doing great. But Paige, I get why you wouldn't like it. But let me just say, if you love Die Hard, you'll like it. Watch it. If you don't like Die Hard, don't watch it. You won't like it. Trust me.
I do like Die Hard, but no.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I think because it invites comparison to better movies like Escape from New York.
I agree. I do think like you should not start with Lockout.
No. Lockout should be the one where you're like, I'm out of good things to watch.
Yeah, you should watch Lockout because you're like, man, I've watched all of this kind of movie. Has anyone tried to make this kind of movie and it not go well? And then I pop over your shoulder and I'm like, why, yes, they have. It's a movie called Lockout. Let's do it. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, hit us with your fun facts.
I've got one fun fact. I already spoiled the John Carpenter lawsuit one, which is the most interesting fun fact.
Well, Paige, let me then change the song to hit me with your one fact. Guy Pearce, one fact.
The main antagonist brothers are named Alex and Hidell. Alex Hidell was also the name of the alias used by Lee Harvey Oswald. There seems to be no reason for this in the movie. However, it is a thing. It does exist.
Okay.
Also, Marion was John Wayne's real name. So there's that.
Yes, and it's revealed that that is Snow's real name, which is Guy Pearce's character. He goes by Snow the whole movie.
Yes.
Anyway.
I will reveal there is one Wilhelm scream in this movie. That's always a fun thing to track sometimes.
Where is it?
It's the inmate who trips and falls like down into the station right after coming out of stasis has a Wilhelm scream.
Nice.
Those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So this movie was released on April 13th, 2012. What do you think the production budget was for it? And Paige, I will say again what I said earlier. It is not a lot. It's not a ton. But when I tell you how much it is, you'll be like, and it still looked this bad?
If it's more than $10 million, someone was embezzling money.
Paige, I am happy to report that someone embezzled at least $10 million because this budget was $20 million.
No.
Which I'll say, there are special effects in this. They're in space. There's a whole fucking space battle.
Sure.
And you can tell that while they were doing the after effects and the effects during the chase scene on the motorcycle or unicycle, I guess, that's when they ran out of money. Because the space battle towards the end looks way better than that scene, right?
Yes.
But anyway, it was $20 million. And if you adjust that for inflation, that's $27.7 million today. Anyway, Paige, I'll just say this. When it came out April 13th, 2012, it was 9th at the box office its opening weekend. It was beat, just to place it in time, by The Hunger Games that was in its 4th weekend of release and was at number 1 still. So that movie did really well at the box office.
We haven't done any Hunger Games on this podcast yet, have we, huh?
We haven't, although there is a love triangle famously in those movies.
There's a love triangle.
But for the fun of it, that movie was in its final week of being number 1. It was number 1 for its first 4 weeks. It did very, very well. Anyway, this movie did not. The number 2 movie in the theaters that weekend was The Three Stooges. Number 3 was Cabin in the Woods, which we've done an episode on Horror Virgin about. Actually, you've been on that too. I think we've done 2 episodes because we revisited it with you. Yeah.
We revisited it. And I ended up, when I first saw it, I hated the ending. And then on a rewatch, I hated it slightly less.
I think that was the one we recorded the episode on, right? Because I think I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, check out that episode if you're interested. 4 was Titanic in 3D. And number 5 was American Reunion. And then there were 4 other movies, one of which was Lockout at number 9. Now, don't let that fool you, because it wasn't number 9, but it brought in an unusually high number at the box office that weekend for being 9th, at least.
It must have been just a popular weekend. I think it made $3 million.
It actually, so yeah, that's what I would assume at 9th, right? It made $6.2 million.
Damn, okay.
Which is not nothing. I mean, there were a lot of bangers that weekend, obviously. You know, I did say Three Stooges came out that weekend, obviously.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Hunger Games was in there. Cabin in the Woods was up there, obviously. But also 21 Jump Street was in theaters. Wrath of the Titans was in theaters. So there are a lot of movies that were worth seeing, but I think just a lot of people went to the movies this weekend. Anyway, it was in theaters for a total of 6 weeks. It was never again in the top 10. It fell to 12 in its next week, and it was never again even in the top 15. But what do you think it made domestically at the box office?
If it made 6 its first weekend,
then
it probably makes at least 18 domestically.
Okay, so it brought in 14.3. Not quite as good, but
close,
up there.
Yeah.
It did bring in $19.6 million internationally. So the total box office worldwide was $33.9 million. So it technically made money. Obviously, the marketing budget would have cut into those earnings.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I don't know that this was promoted as much as a blockbuster was. So
yeah, I don't remember this at all. So yeah.
Me either, really. And I didn't see it in theaters. And I love this movie still. I bought it today. When it came up, do you want to buy or rent this movie? I was like, I have not seen this since probably 2015. And I know I want to buy it. And I did buy it. It was only $1 more though. It was fine. It was $3.99 to rent or $4 to buy it. And I'm only saying this because Natalie edits the podcast. And she's going to want me to justify why I bought this trash movie in her opinion, I'm sure. But it was $1 more, babe. You're going to love it. Trust me. When you watch it, you're going to probably hate it. Anyway, but if you adjust that $33.9 million for inflation, it's roughly $47.1 million today. But not a huge success, obviously. We didn't get any more of these, unfortunately, but that is your box office page.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hit us with the romance scale?
Sure. Our romance scale is a scale of 1 to 4. How romantic did you find this movie today, Todd?
Paige, this is definitely a 1. There's nothing super romantic. I do think there is chemistry between them and they're playing it like they're into each other a little bit, but we don't ever see that come to fruition in any way that's not, well, I was going to say in any physical way, but they do punch each other. But I'm not into punches in romance movies between your leads unless it's consensual, I guess. And neither of them are.
No. Controversial statement. The punch is the hottest part.
It is. That's what I'm saying, which is that's not a good sign.
No. If I could give this a 0 on the romance scale, I would.
Yeah.
I did not perceive any chemistry, nor did I see any blossom into fruitation.
Into fruitation? You think he's going to like
That's right.
get her pregnant?
I think, yeah. And pop some oranges out.
He's going to be banging it out in Nashboro Village and putting some stank on it. By the way, if Mikey was here for the Nashboro Village joke or Nashboro whatever, he would have
Shack?
lost it. Yeah, because that's where the Love Shack was, Paige.
Love Shack. Yes.
But anyway, so that's your romance scale, right?
That's your romance scale.
So Paige, this week I made you watch Lockout, an veiled attempt to make you watch an action movie for the podcast. What are you going to make us watch next week?
Look, I'm here to tell you that we have watched 2 movies low on the romance, high on the action.
Yes, fair.
So I'd like to get an action-y movie, because I do love action movies. You know this about me. Terminator's one of my favorite movies of all time.
You loved True Lies.
I love True Lies.
Yes.
I'm about to go watch Pulp Fiction. Like, action is what I tend to gravitate towards.
Yeah.
But I want to have an action movie that's got some actual romance beats to it.
Nice.
And so we will be watching Date Night from 2010, starring Tina Fey and Steve Carell, which I did see in theaters, and I am happy to revisit.
I saw in theaters too, although I haven't seen it since then.
Me neither.
I remember liking it though when I saw it in theaters.
I remember loving it, so I hope it holds up.
And it's not, and I love Tina Fey, like as a writer, like as a creator, and she is just acting in this. So I went to it expecting it to be like a Tina Fey joint, which I love. I mean, she wrote Mean Girls. Like she does a very specific style and is very good at it, and I love those movies. And it's very different than what I expected. But I remember like liking it a lot, even though it was different than I expected it was going to be.
Yeah, no, I remember really liking the way that they chose to work together, where it seemed like their relationship was on the rocks, and then it seemed like they bonded and came together and are stronger at the end because of it.
Yeah.
So excited to see it again.
So your homework for next week is to watch Steve Carell and Tina Fey be great in the movie Date Night, and then report back for that episode.
Hey, do you have any reviews for us, Todd?
I do. This week, I'm going to read a Spotify comment from our most recent episode, which was, if you remember, our episode with Eli Bosnick. Always.
A lot of people not liking some of the language. That's okay. I had a good time. I re-listened to it and I was like, this is exactly what that trash movie deserved.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't seen any comments about the language, but
the Facebook group has a few.
it was definitely more prevalent. But a lot of people in the Spotify comments were talking about how like they love Eli. Eli's great.
Great.
And love having him on the podcast. I think he's great. In fact, someone even said, I'm loving this new Polly Pan Mikey. Which I thought was very funny.
What a fun new twist.
I know. That was Mary. That was her comment on the episode, honestly.
Great.
I'm going to read this one, though, because it made me laugh. It came in from the Lady Gengar.
Lady Gengar.
Gengar. Okay. Do you know them?
It's a Pokemon. No,
Oh,
they've been
okay.
active in the groups and stuff for a long time. I recognize that name.
Yeah, I didn't feel bad reading the name because it wasn't someone's just like actual name.
Yeah.
So they say leans in. Luigi has tapes, calls boss. Hey girl, I'm gonna need to take today off for ... scientific research purposes ... It's breakthrough stuff, let me tell you.
Lady Gengar, if you find them, let us know.
Release the tapes, Gengar.
Release the tapes, Weege. We gotta see them.
Anyway, I loved, honestly, all of the comments that were left on the episode. Thank you guys so much for leaving them. And if you want to have me read your Spotify comment and or 5-star Apple review, leave us one of those things and I'll do just that. So yeah, if you guys like this show and want to hear our other show where we talk about horror movies, that is The Horror Virgin. That's the only other podcast I am on, but Paige is also on Cult Podcast, which you can find at Cult Podcast. And you can find us on social media. I am at Todd J. Awesome, literally everywhere. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Instagram.
No, it's at Rampage Wesley on Instagram and TikTok, at Paige Wesley on Twitter.
That's right. All right. So that's where you can find Paige. If you want to find the show, we are at Romancing the Pod Show, right?
Yep, Romancing Pod Show on Twitter.
Well, and Instagram, right?
And Instagram, but it's show SHO because character limits. If you start typing Romancing the Pod, it'll come up.
It'll definitely come up on Instagram. I don't know about Twitter because I haven't posted on Twitter in a hot ass minute. So like, who knows? But that is where you can find more of us. So yeah, guys, give us a follow. Support the show any way you can. We'd love it.
Smash that like button.
Hell yeah!
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To space
pletion.
To space prison.
Oh, no. I don't want to go to space prison.
Nobody does, Paige, because nobody can empathize with you unless they've also taken the Space Hilton to space or whatever she says. Bye! Paige is wearing her cheese slut shirt. Nerds! I love that shirt.
La, 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 la.